Hi, I'm Erin and I'm a member of Creep Orca Cultus and I'll be teaching the fiddle. So this is the fiddle. It's the exact same as a violin, but is played in the exact same way, but in a different style. So when we look at it, we can see that these are our strings. This is our fingerboard. This is our chin rest, our fine chinners, our chinning pegs, and our scroll at the top. So our chinning pegs are the main thing that keep our instruments in tune. So if you're using a violin, make sure not to harm these because it'll knock your violin out of tune or even break a string, which would have to be replaced. So this is your bridge as well. It keeps your strings in place and it's also very delicate and it's not glued in place, so this could pop out. There's another part of the violin that's very delicate. Then moving on to our bow. Your bow is what is used to rub against the strings to make the noise. It is made with horse hairs, which are connected in this. When you go to play your instrument, you want to tighten this until it has a gap between the two strings that is large enough and the strings are feeling firm. And then when you're not playing it, you want to loosen, turn to the left, and just enough. You don't want the wood to touch the strings, the hair, but you want it to be close enough so that the wood's relaxed and your bow doesn't wear out fast and you can use it for many years. When your bow is tightened, the main part that helps it to make a noise when it's put against the strings, once it's tightened, you want to make sure the wood is still bent, is your rosin. So this is your rosin. It is meant to be rubbed against the hairs of the bow and once you coat it in that, it should be a white dust that fluffs off your bow. So you can't really see that in the camera there, but when you brush it past, a white smoke puff should come off, showing that you have enough on, and that is what really helps make the friction to make a noise. Holding a bow, we want to put our thumb underneath this part of it. So thumb under here, you want to place your pinky on the end and wrap your other fingers around it. Okay, so your ring finger, you want to wrap it around. Your middle finger, you want to sit it on top, and then your index finger, you want to put it on the pad. And then when we move on to our violin, we sit it on our left shoulder. This is in our right hand. We sit it on our left shoulder with our chin placed into the chin rest. Slot it in. We take our left hand, and when we're playing with the fingerboard, we take it between our thumb and our forefinger, index finger, and we will play with the strings. But as a beginner, we will be holding it to the right hand side of the violin on the corner. Then taking your bow, which is in your hand, and placing your neck in, you want to make sure you're in a comfortable hold, and then you'll be able to play. You want to put your bow on this part of the string between the bridge and the start of the fingerboard. You can see where the white dust has come off of mine from playing with the rosin on the bow. So that is where you want to be playing, is in there. We'll start by playing on the 4 main strings. So there's 4 strings on a violin. The narrowest one to the right is E. And then 1 in from that is A. So E will sound like this. It's the highest. And then A is 1 in. And then D is the next one in. And then G is the furthest one to the left when you're looking at your violin. And it is also the thickest string, and it's the lowest. So it gradually gets lower, or if you're moving towards the right, it gets higher. So when we're playing that, we want to play it moving our hand like this, all comfortable, holding the bow, and we want to just play it at the start, play G. When we're putting our bow on, we want to try to start in the middle towards this end of the bow where my hand is, and we want to make sure that we are tilting the bow to hit the string and not the other string, but we want to make sure we're not hitting the wood. So we want to make sure that we are hitting the string with the bow. So the bow is quite long, so just make sure that it's balanced in the perfect place, not to hit anything else like D or the wood. Then we'll move on to the next string, which is the exact same. We want to balance the bow so it's not touching either strings on either side of it. Okay, so we don't want this, we don't want that, we just want in the middle. And then moving on to the next string, it's just the same thing again. Trying not to hit D on the left and E on the right. And then last of all, E is the same thing again as G. We don't want to hit A on the left and we don't want to rub against the wood on the right. Okay, so now I want you to take from the bottom of the bow to the very top of the bow on each string. Take it slowly and keep going until you can get it to only touch that string back and forward on each string, with only making the noise of that note like this. Like that. So just do that on every single string, making sure that you're staying in between the start of the fingerboard and the bridge. Now you can pause that video, and once you've paused the video and done that exercise, we can move on to exploring what we can do with our hand up at the top. So when we hold it at the top, we want to just practice having our thumb on the left and our hand on the right. So we're using our left hand, holding it firm with our chin and making sure that you're holding it like this at the start. Then you want to slide down and put your thumb on the side so that when you're playing, you can stretch over. So I want you to take your hand and try to stretch over to the furthest string, which is G, and try to put your fingers on it. Doesn't matter where you're placing them. Try your fourth finger if you're feeling brave, but just aim to try with your first and second fingers to see if you can keep your thumb on the left and reach over and press your fingers on the string. You don't have to use your bow for this. Do that with every string. So 1, 2, 3. It'll get easier as you move across, but you need to make sure your thumb is staying in the same place the whole time. 1, 2, 3. You also need to make sure that your wrist is like this. You can get lazy and put it like this and lean it sometimes, but it's best to hold for reaching reasons, because if when your wrist is like this, it's very hard to reach over. But when you keep your wrist like that, you can reach over a lot easier and hit the strings. Okay, so now that we have taken a look at the violin and how we hold it and play it and explore it, I want to work for the next lesson to just make sure to try to practice keeping your hand in that hold and getting comfortable holding it. A lot of strain is putting on your smallest finger, so just remember it's a lot of support, so it's very important that it's firmly put on and that your thumb is down here. So just practice that hold, getting into that hold, putting it in your other hand, stretching your hand out and getting back in so that it's automatically in like that. Then I would like you to practice also putting the violin into hold. We will not concentrate on fingers this week. We just want to concentrate on holding the violin and being able to identify which strings are which. So I'll cover that one more time. This is G, D, A, and E. Now when we're plucking to make noises like that, like I am there, we have to be very careful that we're doing it very lightly, because it's very delicate. Not only is the bridge delicate, but the strings are also very delicate as well. So we just want to make sure that we're only brushing the strings nicely so that they're making a noise. Also with your bow, I want you to practice just going on each note the full length of the bow, so you're used to using both ends of the bow and you're not playing with only one end. Okay, so now we're going to start on our next topic, which is our fingers. So now that we've learned how to hold it in our neck and how to hold it with our thumb and use our fingers, we're going to learn how to use our first finger. So the rest of our fingers should just stay up while we're playing this. So we want to play showing our first finger. So on the board when we're playing, our first finger note is 1. So we have the board here and we plan to play from here to here. So our first finger will be approximately 2 centimeters away here, and it'll be the same way the whole way across. So this is the string G, and then when we play our first finger, it's one note a little bit higher. So this is G, and the note up from G is A. And then we'll do it on the next string. This is D, and the note up from D is E. So same place as A was on the G string, E will be on the D string. So E, E. And then A string, same thing again, A, and then B. And then we'll move on to our A string, E, and then F. So once you can make a nice fine noise on each string, you can move on to this exercise of doing our first finger, but only when you're feeling confident. But this is not homework for the next lesson. This is just a wee bit of covering for if you're feeling like you're getting on well, you can try this a wee bit harder. So. Okay, so that is just a wee bit extra, as I just said. But what you need to work on is being able to hold the violin, hold the bow comfortably, hold the violin comfortably. Don't worry about your fingers, just worry about getting every note to sound clear and crisp. And travelling the whole way up your bow without touching the wood or the string beside it. So that is our aim for next week. I'll see you in the next lesson and we can move on.